Hey everyone, and welcome to the Punter's Pick for another week. I'm looking at a variety you may not have drunk a lot of before because there just isn't that much of it around, which is a shame really because it's lovely. It's Viognier. The variety originates from Condrieu, a northern Rhone appellation which produces Viognier exclusively. I understand that it almost got wiped out. There wasn't much of it left in the 60s at one stage. I believe there was only about 6 acres of it left. But it's made somewhat of a resurgence and a comeback, but it's still not all too common. The first commercial plantings in Australia were in the 1980s by these guys, Yalumba. Viognier is often characterised by a rather sort of pretty aroma with apricots and pear, some spice, and like star anise and maybe some musk. The wine is pretty generous with its texture too. It's low in acidity, so it has a nice, soft, rich, kind of full-bodied mouthfeel. It's a lush wine, and it's often sort of added to and blended with Shiraz to give it a bit of a lift too. It's quite a fickle variety to grow, I understand. So to see a producer with 3 single variety releases of Viognier suggests that they're committed and very passionate about it. Louisa Rose, Yalumba Chief Winemaker, is exactly that. Gourmet Traveller Winemaker of the Year 2008, I think. She's spent the last 20 years or so at Yalumba, and she's certainly a guru with this variety and a champion of its success, both in Australia and abroad. So if you want to dabble in Viognier and get some insight to what this great variety is about, then this is an ideal place to start. First up is the Y series. This comes in at around about $19. It's pretty. It sort of reminds me of that burnt orange peel when you squeeze an orange peel, light the zest, do a bit of flame action when you're garnishing your cocktail as you do. It's definitely sort of apricot and as the back label would suggest, I think they mentioned sort of fennel in there as well. There's some spiciness, a beautiful aroma. There's more orange in the mouth. It's beautifully rich, beautiful chewy texture. It's soft and gentle. It's gorgeous. I love that. We're going to rip through these nice and quick. Next up is the 2012 Eden Valley Viognier. I think this one comes in at about $25. And this is a little bit more perfumed. There's some sort of stewed apricots and honey. It's beautiful. This is probably my favourite of these 3. A little bit more acid on the palate, which keeps it lively, but the texture is so delicate. It's like a little massage for your mouth. It's got a really interesting sort of dry finish too, which is all about that fennel. It's great stuff. It's a really powerful wine, but it's that texture. It's so slippery. You sort of hardly notice it. It's a lovely opulent wine. Big fan. Next up is the flagship, the 2010 Virgilius. This comes in at around about $50. So it's up there. This is more herbal than floral, more savoury than sweet. Some yeasty characters too. Some yeasty kind of cheesy characters that translate to the palate, and that's a good thing. The palate is intense, but this is it's quite light. It's elusive. It's hard to kind of pin this one down. The finish is long. It's a real shapeshifter for me. It's depth, it's unctuous texture, but just slides down so beautifully. It's a really lovely wine. Each of these 3 wines offer something quite unique. They're very different. The Y series is a great place to start your Viognier adventure, and as is the case with all Y series wines from Yalumba, they're spanking value. Yalumba have got an admirable approach to sustainability and stewardship too, which is great to see. You can read more about that on their website, as you can about their nursery project, from which the Viognier grape, their Viognier wines sort of come from. So perhaps next time you're tucking into some Thai or Vietnamese, you know, with a little citrus and spice, you want something to match with it, check out Viognier. It's beautiful. And yeah, get amongst it. Good stuff. Cheers.